My wealthy family forged my signature on a will, leaving me $1,000 while my brother inherited everything. I retaliated by redirecting their charity funds to causes they despised and tipping off the IRS about their hidden offshore accounts. Now, their empires collapsed, my brother's alone, and I've moved to a tiny apartment where silence feels like freedom. The tires of my rental car spat gravel as I pulled into the driveway. Late again. Always late. The kind of late that wasn't an accident, just the universe's way of saying, you don't belong here. Mom's text glared at me from the passenger seat. Dinner started 20 minutes ago. Marcus already gave his speech. Of course he did. I stepped out into the Connecticut chill, my heels sinking into the manicured lawn I'd never been allowed to walk on as a kid. Through the leaded glass windows, I could see them. Mom's icy blonde bob, Dad's ruddy face already flushed from scotch, Marcus leaning back in his chair like he owned the place. Which, technically, he did. The house, the cars, the goddamn silverware. All his. For now. The front door creaked like it always did, the sound cutting through the murmur of the small dinner party. 6 people tops. Just immediate family, which apparently still included Aunt Lydia, who'd sued Dad over a land deal in '09, but not me. Nice of you to join us, Elena, Dad said, not looking up from his steak. Traffic, elite. Marcus smirked. You live in Brooklyn. How's the rent these days? Still defending murderers for free? Still pretending your trust fund's a personality? I shot back, sliding into the only empty seat. The chair was too close to the air vent, blasting cold air down my neck. Classic. Mom's nails tapped her wine glass. Let's not. It's our anniversary. Dad stood, swaying slightly, and raised his drink. 40 years. 40 years of building something real. Not chasing ambulances. He glanced at me. Or wasting time on lost causes. His eyes landed on Marcus. But family's about loyalty. Marcus here stepped up. Took over the Hartford deal when I got sick. Showed maturity. Marcus puffed up like a peacock. Just doing my part. Unlike some, Dad said, staring at me, who prioritize strangers over blood. The room went quiet. Aunt Lydia coughed. You mean my clients? I said, the ones who can't afford. Spare me the sermon, Dad snapped. You're here out of obligation, same as always. But Marcus understands what matters. My chest tightened. Same script, different decade. Marcus gets the steak, Elena gets the crumbs. Dad kept talking, his voice thickening. When I'm gone, this family's in good hands. Strong hands. Not everyone's cut out for it. He stopped mid-sentence, blinking hard. His glass slipped, shattering on the table. Richard, Mom stood, her chair screeching. He clutched his chest, face mottled red and white. Can't breathe. Marcus froze. Aunt Lydia screamed. I lunged forward, catching Dad as he crumpled. His weight slammed me into the table, my ribs cracking against the edge. Call 911. I barked. Nobody moved. Marcus, call them. He fumbled with his phone, hands shaking. Mom hovered, her perfume sharp and suffocating. Richard, look at me. Dad's fingers dug into my arm, his eyes wild. Will. Shut up, you're fine, I lied. But he wasn't. By the time the paramedics shoved me aside, his pupils were fixed and wide. They pronounced him dead in the ambulance. The lawyer came the next morning. We sat in Dad's study, the smell of his cigars still clinging to the leather chairs. Marcus sprawled in Dad's seat, red-eyed and smug. Mom perched on the edge of the couch, flawless in head-to-toe black. The lawyer, some silver-haired fossil from Dad's golf club, cleared his throat. Per Richard's instructions, the primary estate, including the family residence and controlling shares in Whitmore properties, passes to Marcus. Marcus nodded, like he'd rehearsed it. Charitable trusts and the Aspen property go to Claudia. Mom dabbed her eyes. Charitable trusts, right? The ones that funded her garden club's champagne brunches. And Elena, the lawyer, adjusted his glasses. A cash gift of $1,000. For her bleeding heart causes. The room blurred. That's it. The lawyer shrugged. There's also a stipulation that you forfeit any contestation of the will. He slid a document toward me. You signed it last year. My throat closed. The signature was a shaky scrawl, nothing like my sharp, slanted handwriting. I didn't sign this. Mom's head snapped up. Don't be dramatic. Look at it. I shoved the paper at Marcus. That's not my signature. You know it's not. He smirked. You're really going to do this? Now. Claudia. I turned to her. Tell him. She stared at me, her face a mask. You've always been selfish, Elena. But this? Accusing your own family of fraud. The air left my lungs. Family. The word they'd weaponized my whole life. I stood, my knees buckling. You forged this. Both of you. Mom stood too, her voice cold and quiet. You're just like your birth mother. Ungrateful. Always wanting more than you deserve. The words hit like a slap. Adopted at 6 weeks. A fact they dangled over me like a guillotine. Be good, or we'll send you back. Marcus stood, crowding me. Take the grand and get out. You're dead to us. I grabbed the forged document, my hands shaking. Dead? You wish. I stormed out, their voices chasing me down the hall. She'll never prove it, Marcus shouted. Mom's reply slithered after me. Who would believe her? The front door slammed. I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles ached. Through the window, I saw Marcus pour himself a drink in Dad's study. He toasted me. I drove off, the road blurring, but not toward the highway, toward the cemetery. 20 minutes later, I stood in front of the only headstone that ever mattered. Mary Ann Carter, beloved mother, the woman who'd adopted me, loved me, then died when I was 12. The last person who'd chosen me. They stole from me, I whispered. The wind rustled the oak overhead, scattering leaves like broken promises. I pulled out my phone and dialed the only person who wouldn't judge me for what came next. Nia, I need a favor, and a bottle of bourbon. Nia's apartment smelled like printer ink and stale coffee, same as it did back when we shared a cubicle at the DA's office. She opened the door holding a half-eaten Pop-Tart and squinted at me. You look like hell. Charming as ever, I said, tossing the forged waiver onto her cluttered kitchen table. I need to know if that's fake. She picked it up, her neon green glasses sliding down her nose. Let me guess, your family screwed you over, and now you want me to play Sherlock. I'll pay you. With what? Your $1,000 inheritance? She snorted but pulled out a magnifying glass. Seat. Talk. I didn't sit. Instead, I paced past her wall of framed certifications, past the photo of us at our law school graduation, her grinning in a cap, me staring dead-eyed at the camera. Mom hadn't shown up that day. Marcus has a regatta, she'd said, like I'd asked her to miss a kidney transplant. Nia hovered over the document, silent for once. The clock ticked. Outside, a car alarm wailed. Well, I finally snapped. It's fake. She didn't look up. The E in your signature's all wrong. Yours loops left. This one's rigid like someone traced it. I sank into a chair, the relief sharp and sour. Can you prove it? In court? Yeah, to your family. She shrugged. They'll say you're lying. Or crazy. Or both. I need more. Then dig. She tossed me a flash drive. I pulled your dad's cloud files. Encrypted, but you're a Whitmore. Bet you know the password. I didn't. But Dad had one quirk. He reused dates. Anniversaries, birthdays, the day he bought his first property. I plugged the drive into my laptop, fingers hovering. Try Mary Ann's birthday. The day he adopted me. Access granted. The folder spilled open. Tax records, contracts, a subfolder labeled drafts. Inside, a PDF. Last will and testament of Richard Whitmore. Revised, January 14th. My chest tightened. The date was 2 weeks before he died. I clicked it. To my daughter Elena, I bequeath. The words blurred. Equal shares. The lake house. A seat on the board. All of it erased in the final version. Nia whistled. They scrubbed you. I kept scrolling. Deleted emails between Mom and Marcus. Claudia, he's rewriting the will. Elena gets half. Marcus, WTF? Claudia, fix it. You know how. My hand shook. Fix it. Forge my name. Erase me. You okay? Nia's voice sounded distant. I stood abruptly, the chair screeching. I need air. It's midnight. Then I need dark. The cemetery gates were locked. I climbed a fence, my dress snagging on the iron spikes. Mary Ann's grave sat under an oak tree, the headstone mossy at the edges. They did it again, I said, tracing her name. But this time, I'm not 7. This time, I'm not begging for a seat at their table. The wind picked up, carrying the scent of rain. I thought about the summer I turned 10, when they'd rented a villa in Tuscany. I'd packed my suitcase, even though Mom hadn't told me to. You'd hate it there, she'd said, leaving me with a nanny who reeked of cigarettes and watched soap operas all day. Or my law school graduation. Marcus had accidentally spilled red wine on my gown. Dad laughed. It's just a robe, Elena. But Mary Ann? She'd taken me to Coney Island when I aced 3rd grade. Let me eat cotton candy until I puked. That's what moms are for, she'd said, wiping my mouth with her sleeve. I pulled out my phone, pulled up the draft will, and read it aloud to the headstone. He'd choose me. Once. A twig snapped behind me. I spun, heart racing. Nothing, just shadows and the rustle of leaves. But I felt it then, the shift, the quiet, seething rage of being deemed disposable. Back in my apartment, I poured bourbon into a coffee mug and spread Dad's files across the floor. Bank statements, trust agreements, Marcus's sloppy Venmo transfers to his bookie. Then I found it, the Whitmore Family Charitable Trust. Mom's pet project, funded by Dad's guilt and old money. Tax exempt, of course. I called Nia. "You're gonna like this," I said. "It's 3 a.m., Elena. The trust bylaws let the executor redirect funds without board approval. Guess who's listed as executor? Your mom." Was. Dad changed it 6 months ago. Now it's me. Silence. Then a slow laugh. "Oh, this is beautiful. What are you gonna do?" I stared at the screen. Blur it all down. The first transfer went through at 8:03 a.m. on a Tuesday. $5 million, siphoned from Marcus's half-built sports complex into a network of women's shelters across the city. I sat at my desk, watching the confirmation emails pile up, and sip cold coffee. No guilt, no second thoughts, just the crisp click of a keyboard, over and over like tapping a coffin shut. Marcus called 3 times that morning. I let it go to voicemail. "Elena, what the hell is this?" The contractors just walked off the site. "Did you?" Delete. By noon, Mom's name was plastered across donation plaques at 3 shelters. I made sure of it, generously supported by Claudia Whitmore. I imagined her at her weekly salon appointment, flipping through a magazine while her hairdresser innocently asked, "Oh, you're funding domestic violence programs now?" She called at 2:17 p.m. I answered on speakerphone, shuffling through more Dad's files. "Yes." "You're embarrassing this family." Her voice was tight, like a wire about to snap. Funny, I thought fraud was embarrassing. A pause. I heard ice clinking in a glass. "Marcus says you're draining the trust." Marcus should have read the bylaws. The executor can redirect funds. That's me, by the way. Thanks to Dad's last-minute update. "You're punishing us." I leaned back, staring at the water stain on my ceiling. No, punishment would have been leaking Marcus's Venmo history to his fiancée. How much did he lose on the Knicks last month? 10 grand? 20? Silence. Then, colder, "You'll regret this." The line went dead. That night, I met Nia at a dive bar near the courthouse. She slid into the booth, reeking of cigarette smoke and victory. "IRS bit. They're auditing your mom's offshore accounts." "How long?" 2 weeks tops. Then the feds start asking real questions. She flagged the waitress. 2 whiskeys. And whatever's fried. I pulled out a check, sliding it to her. "For the forensic report." She glanced at the amount and smirked. Using Mom's guilt money to take her down. Poetic. It's not about poetry. It's about proof. Sure. She pocketed the check. "But let's be honest, you're enjoying this." The whiskey burned my throat. I'm enjoying the justice. Uh-huh. And when they're broke and begging. I'll hang up. The fries arrived, greasy and limp. Nia dunked one in ketchup. "You're colder than I remember." I learned from the best. Marcus showed up at my apartment Sunday morning. No suit, no smirk, just sweatpants and desperation. He shoved past me, pacing the living room. "You need to stop." I crossed my arms. "Or what?" "Or I'll sue you." "For what?" "Following the trust rules you didn't bother to read." I tossed him a folder. Page 4. Section C. He didn't open it. Mom's a mess. Her friends won't return her calls. The garden club dropped her. Because she donated to an abortion fund? Must be tough, facing consequences. He flinched. Good. Mom had spent my teenage years ranting about irresponsible women while I hid my Planned Parenthood pills in a tampon box. "Just fix it," he muttered. "Fix what? The trust? Your credit score? The fact that Dad hated us both, but you're too stupid to see it." He lunged at me, fist clenched. For a heartbeat, I thought he'd swing. Then he froze, breathing hard. "You're a bitch. And you're a gambler with a savior complex. But hey, at least I'm self-aware." He left, slamming the door so hard the neighbor's dog started barking. The voicemail came that night. "Elena, it's Mom. Let's talk. Please." I saved it, not out of sentiment, evidence. She arrived unannounced Monday evening, her Chanel suit wrinkled, hair fraying at the ends. I let her in, curious to see her beg. "Call off the IRS," she said. "No hello." "No. Marcus is falling apart. His fiancée left. He needs a therapist? Rehab? Not my problem." Her composure cracked. "You're trying to destroy us." I laughed. You did that yourselves. The forgeries, the lies. All I did was redirect. She stepped closer, her perfume cloying. Your father loved you. Bullshit. I pulled out my phone and played the voicemail I'd found in Dad's files. His voice, slurred and snarling. I regret adopting her. Every damn day. Mom's face paled. He didn't mean. He did. I tucked the phone away. But I'm done competing for scraps of love from people who hate me. She slapped me. The sting bloomed hot across my cheek. I didn't move. Didn't blink. You're not my daughter, she hissed. Finally, I said, something we agree on. By Friday, the sports complex was a skeleton of steel beams. The shelters had fresh funding, new beds, a press release thanking Claudia for her transformative compassion. I sat in my car outside Mom's favorite boutique, watching her through the window. The clerk handed her a dress. Mom glanced at the price tag and put it back. For the first time in my life, Claudia Whitmore walked out empty-handed. I texted Nia, next phase? She replied instantly, already on it. Marcus called at 7:08 a.m., his voice cracking like cheap glass. They froze everything. The accounts, the properties, everything. I sipped my coffee, watching rain slide down my apartment window. And, you know what? Call off the IRS. I don't work for the government, Marcus. He hissed through his teeth. Take the lake house. Just fix this. I almost laughed. The lake house, where Dad had taught him to fish and me to stay quiet and less spoken to. The dock still had the scar for where I dropped in or at 12, and Dad backhanded me for clumsiness. Keep it, I said. I hear ice fishing's great for anger management. He hung up. Claudia came at dusk, her makeup smudged, hair tangled. She didn't knock, just stood in my doorway, trembling. He loved you. In his way. His way. I leaned against the doorframe. Funny, his way felt a lot like contempt. She stepped inside, clutching her purse like a life raft. You're hurting everyone. Even Marianne wouldn't want this. I stiffened. Don't say her name. She'd be ashamed of you. I pulled out my phone, the voicemail queued. Dad's voice filled the room. I regret adopting her. Every damn day. Claudia froze. He recorded that drunk, I said, but sober enough to mean it. She sank onto my couch, her composure crumbling. We gave you everything. A roof, a name, a reminder that I was replaceable. I tossed her the checkbook from the trust. You want to talk shame? Look at the balance. She flipped through it, hands shaking. You left us nothing. Now I know how it feels. The Whitmore name curdled quietly. At the country club, Claudia's usual table sat empty. Her friend forgot to invite her to the spring gala. When she showed up anyway, the hostess handed her a program for the charity auction, highlighting the women's shelters she'd championed. Marcus's fiancée left a note on his Porsche, "Don't contact me." He found it after a 3-day bender, the car reeking of tequila and regret. They didn't see me watching. I wired the last of the trust funds to an adoption nonprofit that afternoon. The confirmation email popped up as I packed Marianne's photo into a moving box. Marianne Carter Memorial Fund. She'd have liked that. My phone buzzed Claudia again. Claudia, we need to talk. I blocked her number. Then I poured a glass of bourbon, toasted the empty apartment, and let the silence swallow their ghosts whole. The moving truck idled outside my apartment, exhaust fogging the November air. I handed the last box to the driver, Marianne's photo tucked inside a nest of sweaters, and turned to lock the door one final time. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. It's Luke. Aunt Carol's funeral is Saturday. They're asking about you. I stared at the text. Luke, the cousin who'd once lent me a pencil during a Whitmore Christmas interrogation about my life choices. The only one who'd ever whispered, "They're full of shit," after Dad mocked my public defender job. I typed back, "Tell them I'm dead." He replied seconds later, "Already did." I smiled and blocked the number. The new apartment was smaller, older, a 5th-floor walk-up with radiators that groaned and cabinets sticky with someone else's cooking grease. I loved it immediately. The first night, I ordered Thai food and ate straight from the container, cross-legged on the floor. No crystal chandeliers. No portraits of Dad glaring at my takeout. Just the hum of traffic and my own breath. At midnight, the buzzer rang. Claudia stood downstairs, her coat too thin for the cold. "Let me up." "No. Elena, please." I pressed the intercom. "You have 5 seconds." She hesitated. Marcus tried to kill himself. The words hung, ugly and raw. I waited for the guilt, the doubt. It never came. Did he succeed? She choked. "How can you? If he's alive, he's your problem. If he's dead, he's still your problem." A sob crackled through the speaker. You're cruel. I leaned closer. I'll learn from the best. The buzzer went silent. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived. No return address, just a check for $1,740 and a note. Marianne would have wanted you to have this. Luke. I framed the check, hung it next to my law degree. A trophy, not for winning, but for surviving. Dad's grave got a headstone in March. Granite, paid for by Mom's drained accounts. The epitaph read, Beloved Patriarch. I spat on my way to Marianne's plot, where I left daisies and a copy of the Adoption Fund's first annual report. 327 kids placed this year. Thanks for nothing, Richard. Spring came. I took a case for a single mother fighting eviction. Pro bono, of course. We won. She brought me cookies, her toddler clinging to her leg. You're a saint, she said. No, I said, handing the kid a crayon. Just someone who knows how it feels to need a win. In July, Nia texted, fraud charges dropped. Tina paid back the $4,000. Me, Tina? Nia, Marcus's fiancée, ex-fiancée, whatever. Me, not my circus. Nia, atta girl. I left her on read and went for a run, the Brooklyn Bridge stretching ahead, gray and steady. Mom died in December. Heart attack, same as Dad. Marcus sold the estate to cover his debts. The realtor's listing called it a quaint fixer-upper. I didn't go to the funeral. Instead, I bought a Christmas tree, my first, and strung it with dollar store lights. The needles shed on the floor. The star tilted left. It was perfect. At midnight, I opened a bottle of bourbon and played Marianne's old voicemails. Happy birthday, sweetheart. Don't let them ruin your day. Proud of you, Elena. Always. I saved them to the cloud, deleted the rest. The Whitmore name fades. The money's gone. The lies are archived in court, files nobody reads. But me? I wake up. I work. I eat what I want. I don't apologize. Some nights, I still hear Claudia's voice. You'll regret this. But the truth is simple. I never do.